Today, we continue the conversation with Amazon gurus Jamie Paros and Michael Fenech. These boys have come together to form the much acclaimed and engaged networking group, Endgame, focusing on supporting the Amazon selling community. With Jamie posting a record year of close to 7 figures in 2019 selling on Amazon, and Michael having over 700 SKUs being sold in the US via Facebook and Google Shopping. If you don't know what that means, neither do I, but it just sounds good. But their brands are respected and looked up to. It hasn't always been lucrative and easy for these boys. Jamie working 14-hour days driving a truck, Michael trying his hand at many a startup in the tech space before hitting the success button. But they have discovered this world of micro brands. And if I'm honest, I don't even know. I don't have a clue. I don't even know what that word means. It's a whole new language that I'm looking forward to learning more about. So as the economy proves to challenge over these next 2 to 5 years, I mean, that's being generous, more and more people are searching for different ways to create side income. I am committed to providing alternative ways for people to earn additional money that loosens the squeeze they are under. So many people cannot even pay their rent. And a lot of rent is being paid for them for the moment, but we know the squeeze is coming for many. And I do lean towards methods that sit outside the conventional 9 to 5 trading time for money space. So shall we dive in, boys?
That was an awesome intro.
Okay, there we go. I know. I think I've listened to a little bit of Jamie, you were on with some bearded guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he likes the trading time for income, trading time for money conversation as well. But Michael, just before we press record, you said something really poignant about COVID and where we're at in terms of e-commerce. So can you just share with everybody what's been going on, even though we might not realize it was happening?
Yeah, well, obviously, as you know, COVID lockdowns kept everybody at home, and what that did was basically it changed consumer behaviour, and it turned people from traditionally going to stores and buying their products to having to order products online, whether it's eBay, Amazon, etc. So, the stats that we've uncovered suggest that e-commerce has grown to the point that where it is today is where it's supposed to be in 5 years' time. And that's just huge growth. And if you're an e-commerce seller, COVID, as bad as it is, has introduced all these new people into the mix for you to put a product in front of and potentially get a sale from them. So it's massive growth, and it's just from COVID and consumer behavior being changed.
Wow. So Jamie, did you kind of forecast this? Did you know this was coming? Because I know, 3 years ago, you really jumped into the Amazon game. So were you just one of those guys that saw it coming?
No, I'll be honest. No, I don't think anyone saw this coming, but it's funny how life works sometimes. And, the skill set that we teach, the skill set that people in our industry have has become a real force now because of what Michael just talked about. And it's a really good skill to have, to be able to, and we'll talk about it a bit more later, but being a micro brand owner and developing products and how that all works and the landscape and the different platforms that people shop on. Like Michael said, COVID just accelerated that. Did we see it coming? Like, we couldn't have seen this coming, but I think just the data that's behind online shopping in general pre-COVID was what got us into the game, and just Amazon in particular being such a beast where, consumer behavior in the US and around all the different marketplaces that they are moving to, even here in Australia, is really starting to take a foothold. But being here in Australia, I guess we don't have the same impact, or we don't see the same impact that Amazon has in the US, because it is the go-to place for anything consumables. All their shopping is done online, and the traffic, and then add the population, and it's just a real big marketplace. And we've learned, and people in our community have learned how to grab a piece of that pie. And you only need a little piece of the pie to get back your time, as we've talked about, and how you've alluded to some of the things that you like to be involved in. If you can learn these skills, and you only need to get a little piece of that market share in a certain niche, and your world can change. You don't have to be tied to that 9 to 5, and yeah, look, it's a hard slog. It's a real business, and we can go into anything details that you like, but it really is a great opportunity for someone who's looking to divert or, a career, and get some time back. Yes, there's hard work, but you can go pick your kids up from school. You can go do that thing of a night time, or you don't have to be tied to a job, or you can go on that holiday when you want. To get there takes a lot of hard work, like all businesses, because it's a legit business. But yeah, the upside is huge.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, Michael, how you came into this particular space, because I know I've known you for a long time, and I know you are the startup guy, you're entrepreneurial, you got into e-commerce in particular, but what background do you have that you think has helped you in what Jamie just said? Like, this is a legit hard work business. So what have you brought that from your background that you think is helping you?
I'll boil it down to one word, and that's called leverage. And my definition of leverage is doing more with less effort. So everything I've done in the entrepreneurial world has been based on how can I do more with less effort? How can I impact more people with less effort? And when you think about e-commerce, it's the ultimate in leverage. There's a little bit of work early on to research and find the product, develop it, ship it over to America, and then it's stored in an Amazon warehouse, ready for sale. So your little soldiers are lined up in their little boxes, ready for somebody to buy. While I sleep, people can search for a particular keyword, my product appears, and then they can buy it and we earn revenue. To me, that is much better than having a retail store where I've got to get up, open up at 6 o'clock. I've got to, it's just leverage. And that's what I've brought to e-commerce. And it's the ultimate business model for leverage. How do I do more with less effort? And e-commerce is the way.
So clearly, growing up, you didn't know the word leverage, right? But what is it when you were a little boy? Would your parents say that you wanted to do less and get more? Was that a theme in your life? Did you exemplify any of that growing up?
I suppose I was pretty lucky because I grew up in a really high performing family. So my father was an entrepreneur and was very, very successful at growing businesses, and obviously, used that money from business and invested it into, low risk, property and all that type of thing. So, and then my three brothers were professional athletes. So I saw how my father went about things, and to me, I looked at what he was doing with his business and property, and he had it set up where he was earning money without having to do anything. And that really struck a chord with me because I thought, okay, well, I mean, this is pretty good. Like, people are working, but my dad's getting money for, investing in property and just investing. So that's, I suppose, where it developed in me is I've seen it done. Like I said, leverage, how do I do more with less effort? But in order to succeed, you need that work ethic, which my brothers showed me being professional athletes in rugby league, training, eating well, not drinking. So those two things combined gave me this mindset where I had kind of like a good foundation to move forward and try my hand at a startup and solve problems and how do I make it efficient, and then move to e-commerce. So yeah, that's kind of like where it developed in me.
I love that. Thank you for describing that linkage. We did start off by talking about our kids before we pressed the button, and you have three girls. And I did tell you it was going off script, so get ready, Michael. It's happening right now.
I knew it was going to happen.
Because us with this 5-year-old, we noticed that they have no idea what we do, right? So you just talked about your dad, property, and you see other kids like, oh, Joey's dad's a doctor. This is you growing up seeing somebody else's dad's a lawyer. And so your dad, did you get what your dad actually did? And I'm wondering what your girls now think you do.
I did get what my dad did. In fact, I used to go to work with him on school holidays, and he had over 110 employees in his business. So I knew that it was quite a big deal. And I actually ended up working for Dad, and he, back in the day, early 90s when I was at school, he used to pay very well, just quietly. So it was, I'd turn up I'd say, do you need any more help, Dad? And he'd go, yeah, come along. And I'd just be waiting for that, $50 or $100 note back then, which was huge. But yeah, in terms of where my kids are at, yeah, they do know, I suppose, what I do, and I involve them as much as possible in terms of what we do with Amazon. And I have these conversations, and I don't.
Give me an example of how you involve them. I'm curious about this.
For example, I get them to, so especially my younger daughter, I'll go, Zoe, go and check sales. Her name's Zoe. So she'll go to Amazon and then refresh, and then she'll see like another 3 sales pop in. She'll go, no way, Dad, you've done 24 sales today. And I say to her, what did I need to do to get that? And you said, well, you've just been mucking around with me. And I said, see, you got to work out how you can get things to work for you in life. And look, I don't know whether it's sinking in, but I think it may. And then my older daughters, they're 13 and 15, same thing. I say to them, look, you can work, or you can set up at this young age a product that can potentially start getting sales and get a feel for it. And you might be able to work from anywhere in the world. So yeah, but it depends. At the end of the day, I support them.
We need to start talking a bit more about that, because there is a whole new commerce that didn't exist when we were growing up, and how you explain that to the kids, how you make something potentially a bit intangible, tangible, because there is a product, like you said, that went to the warehouse and the little soldiers are being sold, and just being able to have the kids understand that it's not because Dad doesn't do anything. It's because Dad set it up and he worked his bum off and he got through all those entanglements in order to get to that place where now you're playing and things are being sold. So I think, so I went off script there, but I do personally think it's really interesting for us who have families, because we care about what our kids do in their future and the messages that we're sending out. So Jamie, on that note, if you talk to me a little bit about moving from truck. Now, I don't know that you're a truck driver, but in a trucking business early on to what you're doing now, and making that kind of transition where you used to get paid for the hours that you were on the road or whatever, to what you're doing now. So tell me a little bit about that transition for you.
Yeah. So I have 4 teenagers as well. So I can definitely relate to what Michael was saying and you're saying, Sarah. I guess for me, now looking back, and it's only like 3.5 years ago, but when I reflect on my journey up until this point and meeting Michael and starting this gig, it's been very much a journey of self-reflection and awareness. I know that's pretty blasé to say that, but it's true for me. You can get caught into that matrix of that 9 to 5, and that's what you do, and you don't know anything else. For me, my upbringing was totally different than Michael. My father and mother were just very hard workers, and I was just told you have to work your butt off every hour of the day to get ahead. So I was taught the opposite. To get somewhere, you need to be there on the grindstone. And that took real inner reflection for me to learn on my own, because I wasn't taught that. So I guess moving through 2015, 16, and then into 17, level of awareness raise and start thinking there's got to be something better than this. I'm not supposed to be, as a human, doing these things when I could be missing that time with the kids at the beach with my wife in summer because I had to drive our truck. Like that didn't compute to me. Monday to Friday, like, who created that? Like, I asked bigger questions. Why is there Saturday and Sunday and they're our days off? Why is everyone, yay, it's Friday? That didn't make sense to me. So I asked bigger questions of myself, humanity, how we've been programmed, I guess, if you want to call it that. So it's been a personal inner reflection journey for me. And I've just been using my education and self-reflection and work on myself to and the signs of where to move next. So I know that's a pretty deep answer, but
I want that. I
Yeah.
like that, by the way. And what came first, Amazon as an opportunity, or actually I'm starting to see life differently? Like
Mm.
what came first in your view?
It was life and opportunity. Amazon just made sense as a business model and ticked the boxes of what I thought I could get done to fulfill what I thought I should be able to do in my life with my family, kids, time, money. So the business model ticked the boxes like many of the people in our community. Then you got to flick the switch, and it's what Michael talked about. Then it's how you do everything is how you do everything. Saying you want to have an Amazon business and I want to do 7 figures or I want to do 6 figures a month, that's very easy to speak. But to actually do it takes a special type of person with grit, determination, and willpower and all that drive. Because if you're not obsessed with the outcome that you want to achieve, you could probably talk the same with athletes and the things that Michael talked about, and people that you surround yourself with too, Sarah, that the obsession in your goals gets you there.
I like that. Well, you went deep. Let's go deep. Okay, Jamie. So you have this grindstone work hard ethic in you, right? From an early age. And yet you want to spend more time with your kids, you want more balance, but now you're obsessed with your outcomes. I get this one too. How do you hold both of those things at the same time?
That's what I need to now focus on. So that's been my personal challenges that I deal with now daily, because it's the question that any entrepreneur with success, I feel I've never been answered in the correct, right or wrong way. Would you have got there if you didn't sacrifice X, Y, Z? And I don't want to leave carnage behind, kids, wife, everything, for achieving my goals. So would you have got there if you did it or not? Because if you did those things and had the balance, would it have still gone your way? Because I think when you see people who have got some real success, and success is different for everybody, but some real success and meeting their goals, they've left carnage, and I don't want to do that.
Oh, this is a really good question. I have some ideas, but I may not say them right now, not yet. Just to have people know that when we press the off button, more happens. But thank you for being so honest. I really appreciate that. I mean, who can't relate to what you just said? I mean, anyone who's really gone for something can relate, I think, to that like push pull, even whether it's the kids seeing it and like, yeah, and when we're getting out of the 9 to 5 experience, or when we travel all the time, we can't be near them. So we're running from one problem, but we're in another challenge, which you've identified. So hold that, because we're totally off script now. Michael, you must be just reeling now. But
I'll take it a little bit more off. I'll take a little bit more off script now, but it's relatable. But Jamie and I have spoken about this at length, and we have a term called sharpening the axe, because him and I are very driven. Sometimes I get up at, Jamie and I get up at 2 a.m. because we've got a busy day and we just have to get up at 2 a.m. to fit stuff in. We go to bed a little bit earlier, but we have a term that, if you want to chop a tree down, you got a sharp axe. As you're chopping, it's going to get a little bit blunt. So don't be afraid to stop and sharpen the axe, and then you'll get through it. And sharpening the axe could be hanging with the kids, going to the beach, getting away from the computer screen, or whatever it may be. But when you're driven, it's really hard to get that, because it's like, no, I'm looking at, that's my vision. And like, yeah, that's the balance. That's the important thing.
By the way, sharp. It's funny. I have an analogy in what I do about the axe as well. And just that people wield the axe. And this is actually going to lead into my next question. So it is on par, but people wield the axe with different amounts of force. And that can depend on what they come with, meaning what kind of stamina. Some people wield the axe the wrong way, and they keep banging up against a tree without the sharp part, the opposite end. and wondering why it doesn't work. So I guess my question, Michael, is what do you think is the difference between someone who's successful selling at, I'll call it an Amazon seller. Is that the word? How do we call it? What's the lingo there?
An Amazon seller.
Yeah,
e-com
seller.
seller.
Yep.
E-commerce or an Amazon seller and someone who bombs out. What's the difference, you reckon?
There's two key things for me. It's product choice and work ethic. Now, Jamie and myself, we've experienced some success on Amazon, and the only difference between us two and someone who's bombed out is their product choice. Jamie and I have a group of private students and stuff, and we teach what we've learned. And we've seen people come to us, not in our student group, who say, look, we're struggling with this product, it's not selling. And we talk through the basics of the product. And I'll give you a quick example, a simple example, and you'll get it. They buy a product from China for $10. They ship it over to Amazon in a warehouse with shipping. Let's say it costs plus fees of selling on Amazon. Let's say it's $20. Their competitors are selling their products on Amazon for $18. So they've neglected the product side, the profit side of things, right? So and why? It's a product choice and the numbers behind it. They're guessing and they're not doing the data and research. Secondly, the second part of it is work ethic, because when you bomb out on a product, let's say your first product, two things are going to happen. You're going to give up, or you're going to go, no, I'll reset. I'm determined. I'll start again. And that's the difference between someone selling successfully and not, is the product choice and their work ethic. If you want it, you'll get it.
And I'll add to that, Michael, because I agree with everything you just said to the T, that I don't think people, because I think as humans, we've got the way we're brought up, the way you talked about it before, Sarah, is one thing. But I think if I want to be successful at this and I don't know enough about it, I am the type of person that will hunt down the best person who is at it, and I'll do whatever it takes to learn off them. Because if you're entering a new career or a new space, there's a lot of noise, and you can not know which way. Should I listen to that guy? Should I listen to this girl? Should I listen to that strategy? Should I do that? Like, there's so much stuff. People are afraid to invest in themselves, I think. But then they see the shiny object and say, yeah, well, I want to get there. And I understand that, there's a lot of shiny objects out there, but there's people who are successful at anything that you are looking to do in your life. I think looking at people that you want to emulate and learning everything you can off them is a sure way to that's what I've done. When I got into this space, I actually pinpointed the people who were successful in this industry, and I made it my absolute business to be in their networks.
Did you do that to all of them, or did you have a small number?
Small number, but there was like half a dozen, so 6 people.
6.
I made it my business to be in their circle.
Because Jamie, what I've found in the business that I'm in, where there's a lot of information, there's a lot of people you can follow and listen to. Some people get involved with listening to everyone, meaning an array of 20 people, and it seems like they're in this state of confusion and then no action. So what do you think is the secret to mentorship, that kind of learning from others and actually being able to implement? Because I've noticed people get completely paralyzed because they're following too many people.
Yeah, we call it analysis paralysis. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, look, it's true. We know people like that. We work with people like that, and it's hard. We try to get people back on the straight and narrow. I guess I'm lucky that I can't take on too many angles. And when I feel that that's right and that resonates with me and that person, what they're doing, me and Michael are really good, intuitive like that. Like, yeah, I heard that person. I don't really agree with all that. Or look at that. That was next level what they do. Let's just do that. And then just everything gets out of the way and we just do that. because it worked. Because I think if you don't get any runs on the board, it can hurt you more than anything in this game. Early wins is a big thing, but early wins in the right way is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Because an early win in this game could be just, okay, I picked a product and it could be a disaster waiting to happen. And so early wins is actually getting onto something that has potential in with the right advice.
So what I'm getting, Michael, you said about mindset, right? Mindset has many different aspects to it. It's like, do you get up when something doesn't work? Do you try again? The mindset of, I follow so many people that I'm paralyzed, I don't act at all. So I wanted to ask you about the Endgame Network, and what do you believe has allowed it to have created so much engagement? It's kind of known for, people are like, they're invested in it, they're participating, like they're right there. What do you believe has allowed that kind of engagement?
So Jamie and I, probably back in February, I think, Jamie, we had a bit of a chat and said, look, there's an opportunity here to give Australia and, Australasians, Australia and New Zealand, something that they've never had before. And the conversation sort of went something like this. Let's create a group, and our mission is to just give next level value and help as many people as possible without expecting anything in return. And from there, everything we do, every post we do, every post we let into the group, everything we organize for the group, we even do free Zoom calls every fortnight where we invite, ex-Facebook executives and, people who have had, hundreds of millions of dollars in exits in business, just to inspire people. And it's just giving. We have a saying that the tide raises all boats, and that's what our intention was, is to help everybody. And I suppose, and Jamie, feel free to chime in, but I suppose because we gave so much value and helped so many people just from our heart, everybody really appreciated the Zoom calls and the next level learnings, the gold nuggets. And it was a place, I had a discussion with a member of our group, and she said to me, the link I have on my computer for Facebook takes me directly to the Endgame Network. I don't want to see my friends' feed. I want to see the network feed, cool. Which is powerful. So we give value to the point where people are kind of hooked on it.
And I'll just add to that. I think that through our, 3 years or whatever it has been experience with the high level operators that we are, I guess, but we've also seen along the journey a lot of pain from people. And so we just said, we need to end that and just give the right information, have the right people come on, let people decide for themselves, expect nothing in return, and just give the right next level information for free.
And what does the word, Jamie, what does the word end game, what's that about? What did you mean when you called your network that?
Well, I guess in this business, people have got a number of plans, but e-com businesses, Amazon businesses, they're actually quite lucrative at exits. So there's a lot of people in corporate America who are looking to get out of the 9 to 5, but don't want to build the whole thing from scratch. They just want to come in, see an established brand with a portfolio of products, pay for that business, pay for the inventory that's there. You get a 2.5-3 year profit multiple. So you can grow a business quite substantially. And there is a thirst at the moment, especially from COVID, people uncertain about their jobs, for e-com businesses. So the Endgame name was derived around that, getting to your end game in this business and your goals, reaching your goals. And then, just the network being there together for each other. So,
got it.
Yeah.
So talk to me about goals for you, Jamie, because I know they're obsessive ones. Talk to me about goal setting in this space of because what I get from you without knowing you that well yet is there's all this success, all these things you've always believed in, they're starting to happen, right? So when you're in that space, how do you set goals?
For me now, it's quite simple. my level of awareness and guidance with Mick has now become how many people we can impact. It's pretty simple. My goals are derived around how many people we can impact. Amazing things are coming to us. We allow things to come to us from wherever you want to call it. And great things are happening because we lead from that perspective. And for me, goals now is how far can I take myself as a human in this game to impact as many people as we can.
So inside of that, I'm getting that you may have in the past had financial goals, but now they're impact and people goals. Is that a little bit what you're saying?
Yeah, because I'm a very firm believer, and you've probably heard this cliche a million times before, but if you're not happy now with no money, when you get the money, you're still not going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And in a very short transition of time, I can see that. I've got 4 teenagers. It doesn't mean if I get $10 million tomorrow that I'm still not going to have that argument with my son that I don't want to have, or we're still going to have those emotional issues in the household.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot be happy now, it doesn't matter what goals you got. You're not going to be happy.
Yeah, there's a good quote. There's no happy end to an unhappy journey, since you're in the end game. And I love that, because it really is about who we're being today and the different, like what I'm also noticing is how we shift from almost this kind of survival mode, when finances are so squeezed, there's a sense of survival. It's very hard to move into contribution, impact, because you're kind of in that visceral survival state. And I hear from you, and I'm sure Michael as well, that sense of, okay, now what can we do for other people? It's very hard to do that when you're in survival mode.
That's what I call the transition. You have to be in beast mode.
Beast mode. You're awesome.
You have to be in beast mode to get to your first transition as an entrepreneur from breaking the matrix. It's a real funny chasm that you go through from 9 to 5 to free every day. It's crazy.
Okay, Michael, actually, I think you have something you wanted to say off the tail. Did you? Or can I ask you?
No.
Okay. So off the end of what Jamie just said, you move into contribution. Am I assuming that you are also, is that right? How do you set goals at this? I don't want to assume that you're the same as Jamie.
It's pretty funny actually, because in terms of goal setting, I'm not the guy who has the piece of paper with all my goals written down and laminate them. I'm not that guy. I think I'm the guy that there's a space in my brain that has all my visions, and that's where my goals are placed. But many years ago, so I've come from, I was pretty close to turning professional in golf, and I didn't because I wasn't good enough, which I'm cool with. But golf taught me that life is such a mental game. And I suppose just all the books that I've read in terms of goal setting, I've just lost my train of thought actually where I was going to go with this.
Well, your goals and
it'll come back to me. Yeah. But I was going to take it somewhere.
Golf taught you about your life.
Yeah. It didn't teach me about memory, but anyway, no. Where was I going to go with this? Yeah. Anyway, it'll come back to me. Carry on.
Okay, well, on that, don't worry about I have a really good book to recommend for you, The Magician's Way. Do you know it?
No.
There you go. That's for every listener.
Actually, I remembered what I was going to say.
Okay, go. See?
Cut a long story short.
Go.
I was very determined. There's lots of things I wanted to do. And I actually, one moment, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And my true goal actually came to the surface. And it was really simple. I just want to help people. That was my high level goal. Whether it was a tech startup that solved a problem for the media, it was helping people, teaching e-commerce, helping people, whatever the case may be. That's I suppose my level of goal setting was, it's big and it's just about helping people, and whatever's underneath that, I'll just do and it'll help people.
Yeah, I hear both of your end game. It's no surprise that you've created the network. I mean, you could have just stayed in your product, your like brands and like just been in that space, but you couldn't help it. You've found each other, and now you've come together in this sense of we really want to impact other people. And potentially allow them to find their end game. What is it that really matters to them? Simon Sinek's why, like why do they do what they do, kind of stuff. My last question for you guys is, what is it like working together versus doing this alone? So why is there value for you both teaming up together and doing this together? And I don't know who's going to answer first. Let's see.
You can go first, Mick.
It's such a great question.
I hope you're not having a fight right now, or this won't be a question.
Jamie's he's like a brother to me. Jamie and I are so similar in our values, our work ethic, what we want people to achieve and the greater good. And I suppose when you're on that same level and you're both paddling in the same direction, it was inevitable that when we came together that magic was going to happen. And that's basically what happened. We had a phone call and Jamie and I connected through our various networks in the e-com game. And we got on really well and we had a conversation, said, look, let's start a group. Let's go next level. And that's kind of our little saying, like, let's just take it next level. And cut a long story short, we decided to start the group and we had our first Zoom call. I think we had something like 187 people. And the fortnight after, because we delivered so much value, we got like 380. The week after, 450. We topped out at, I think, over 700 people, 700 entrepreneurs on a Zoom call right in the middle of COVID. Cool. And it was magical. It just happened seamlessly. And I think, like I said, when two similar people are rowing in the same direction with the same values and the same vibration, it was whatever we were going to do was going to impact people and make a difference in their lives. I won't say successful because that's not the goal. It's about impacting people. And we have definitely done that.
Love that. Okay, Jamie, you get to.
Yeah, look, I think, I mean, that was a really great answer. And I'm not going to repeat that because I think exactly the same. I think, when you have a look at people in the world, there is a million gazillion partnerships, right? And you hear of good ones and you hear of bad ones and you hear of people turning sour and people, disputes and money and all sorts of crazy stuff. And you hear of great stories as well. I just think that where me and Mick are at as individuals in our life's journey, that flow state has not allowed any of the noise or the things that you hear about to enter because we're so connected, if you want to call it spiritually.
Yep.
So that won't happen because we're so aligned.
Love it.
That's it. Flow state.
And we've heard this before, but there's been plenty of times, and I don't know if we're connected in some way, Jamie, but there's been plenty of times where and this happens a lot, and it's not once a blue moon, but we'll actually send each other the same message at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've all heard that before, but it's uncanny how many times it happens. Like I might say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this in the group. What do you reckon? And then boom, in comes his message and it's the same thing. And it's like, we just crack up.
It's funny.
I don't know what it is. It's just, I suppose at the end of the day, it's the universe said, listen, you two need to come together to help a group of people. And that's kind of what it feels like.
That's it.
And look, I'm a big fan of partnerships. I was a beach volleyball player, so we understood the value of a good partnership that's aligned. And it's not always aligned. It's also how you get back on track, how you talk about things. But I really believe that we can do more together when we're aligned. So that's sort of the caveat, it's not two people together that are misaligned, I think actually do less. But, you both are proof. Yeah. Michael?
Yeah. One thing Jamie and I do, and we do it all the time, is we go by feel. And we might be working on a particular thing and one of us will say, look, I'm not feeling it. And we just let it go.
Yeah. Wow. Straight away.
And end the conversation, come back. And then we'll have the conversations go, yeah, this feels good. Like it's like we're tapping into something greater than us that's giving us the indication to say, yeah, you're on the right track. And that same power is giving us the indication that no, you're not, you're looking in the wrong spot. And we work on that. Well, we work off those intuitive feelings, if that makes sense. I know that's getting deep, but that's honestly how we operate. Every decision we make is based on how does it feel? and it's just been magical because it's it's been just working beautifully.
The magic decisions happen when we both go, that's it.
Okay, well,
Well,
the magician's
Yeah.
way, you got to read it because it's the premise of golf. Will
Okay.
demonstrate what you both are talking about. Having two men, and maybe that's prejudice thinking it isn't men, but having two men speak like this is really exciting. I think it's beautiful. And what I love is that your results, like what you've manifested, is the proof. You know, the power of alignment is when you said those people coming on, how it was doubling. And to me, that's how the proof that manifestation or the law of attraction is actually a living, breathing thing. So who wants to say one more thing? I think there's more to say. Jamie, you want to say one more thing?
Oh, geez, we could talk for hours, Sarah.
I'm a bit of a talker, so I won't do
Oh,
that.
is this dangerous?
Yeah,
Okay,
nah,
Jamie,
that's
one
all
more
good.
thing.
Oh, look, I just want to say thanks to bringing us on, and if there's anyone out there who resonates with our message, feel free to jump in our Facebook community. We're open source learning. There's no affiliation with anyone. We just say it how it is, and we talk with anyone and anyone. We keep it safe for people to learn.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And in the show notes, I'll give people direct access to
cool.
these areas, like you're saying. And it's been, I know Nat's really enjoyed, especially working in the space and everyone we've gotten to meet. And again, alignment, being able to help. We all have our little slants and talents and things that we're passionate about. So it's been just awesome. And thank you guys for sharing the deeper side. I love when people have the courage to share how it really is and don't act all tough guy. This is the real deal. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
My pleasure, Sarah. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.